so that all mothers be recognized for their wonderful love, for their wonderful accomplishments. In 1907, she apparently was a Methodist, and she handed out 500 white carnations at a church service in honor of mothers. Well, that tradition has changed a little bit over the years, in that now people wear white carnations if their mother is in the spirit world, and they wear pink or red carnations if their mother is still living here in the physical. But you know, she did that because white carnations were her mother's favorite. And she was appalled when the florist saw an opportunity. Well, she kept at this because she really wanted to honor her mother. She really wanted to honor all mothers for everything they do. And she kept at it sufficiently, so in 1914, President Woodrow Wilson actually made it a sanctioned holiday. Now, this lady who fought so strongly to have a special day to honor mothers didn't believe in cards. We just can't get through Mother's Day without sending at least one card, right? She said cards were for people who were too lazy to write a letter. So she had no use for cards. And she got very, very upset as this holiday began to grow in popularity, and suddenly flowers seemed to be the answer. And she just was horrified that florists were making money off of what was supposed to be a very loving, very giving holiday. She was so against this holiday being commercialized that she was arrested in the 1930s because she protested the sale of flowers for Mother's Day. No shrinking violet, this lady. You know, she never had children of her own. She never did. And in her very, very ending years, she ended up penniless and living in a nursing home. And do you know that the bills for that nursing home were paid for her, unknown to her, by the florist's exchange? Well, the information I read said unknown to her. I'm sure she knew very well from the world of spirit. They did want to do something to help her because very inadvertently she had done a lot to help them. When you look in our hymnal sometime, you will find the Battle Hymn of the Republic. And this was written by Julia Ward Howe. And the reason she wrote this was she was so appalled at mankind's inhumanity to one another that she wrote this song that is all about war, but for a good cause, for God's cause. But she, too, was very much a peace activist. So she took on the world as her children to try to get across that we have to live together in love and harmony. Mrs. Rosa Parks, I'm sure you recognize that name. This was the wonderful African-American lady in Montgomery, Alabama, who, as the city bus got more and more full, black people kept being asked to go further to the back of the bus, and she wouldn't. She was not a strident, in-your-face woman. Quite the opposite, very ladylike, very quiet. She would not go to the back of the bus. Well, this was unheard of in 1955 in Montgomery, Alabama. But she held her ground, and she was arrested. But that garnered so much attention. This very peaceful little woman, just doing what was right. That it was a year later that laws were finally passed. So she is known as the mother of the modern day civil rights movement. Look what she did for everyone. This quiet, unassuming little woman literally changed a lot of people's world. Louisa May Alcott, I'm sure every woman here recognizes that name. She wrote the book Little Women, and it was a classic, I think it still is, of another time, another day. But no matter what happened in the home of these wildly differing daughters, the mother was always there, a serene, loving, guiding presence. And that's kind of what many women grew up thinking, this is a mother, this is what I'm supposed to be. Now, we have mothers important to spiritualism as well. Let us not forget the Fox mother. We all talk about the Fox sisters because, of course, they did bring modern-day American spiritualism to the light. But their mother helped them. She supported them. She didn't understand it. This was a new phenomenon, this communication from the spirit side of life. She didn't understand it, but she instinctively knew that her daughters had been chosen for some very, very special and important work for all humanity. And she supported them as best she could. She did have other children, and can you imagine, you've got a house full of children, and yet these two in the Victorian days were just being inundated by attention, by excitement, by not very nice people sometimes. Which brings us to the next woman. The mother of modern American spiritualism is not Mrs. Fox, but Amy Post. Amy Post and her husband were Quakers. And they saw what was happening to these two little girls. They didn't try to talk them out of what they were receiving. They didn't try to hide them, hide their light, but they did protect them. Mr. and Mrs. Post were very well known in their day and very influential. And I like to think of a mother hen, you know, putting her chicks under her wings. That's what Mrs. Post did with the Fox sisters. They were encouraged to go ahead and do this work that they were